Okay.
I'll try and put the names up when you announce.
Are we live?
We're live. We're actually live.
Hey, this is yours.
This is mine.
Make sure you watch yourself on the screen when you're standing up here on the
Hey everyone. Nope. I am not live.
Click it on.
It is on. It's on. It's not on.
Yeah, they're live.
Hello. Talking to your mic.
Hello.
Hello. Oh my God. There I am. Hey everyone, you ready for some hockey tonight?
Yeah,
We are going live right here at Boston Pizza. Let's hear some noise. Come on. We got the best cast ever. All of them right here from this Scoville area. First up is going to be our friend Jim Mason. Jim, come on to the stage. Let's hear it up for Jim Mason. Mr. Mason, he's like a staple of the community. He says he's retired, but I don't know. He's a PA announcer for the Scoville Spirit. He works on the board of directors for the OJHL. I don't think he's retired. What do you guys think? Here you go. Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Phil.
Welcome. So
Thank you,
the first
Bill.
question's going to be, what got you into PA announcing? How did you end up taking that avenue?
So with the Spirit. Everybody hear me okay? Thank you. Yeah, so late 90s, the Spirit started in 95, and owner of the team in the late 90s had threatened to move the team elsewhere. And the Mayor Emerson at the time, rallied some people to get on the board of directors. And I was one of them. Stayed with it ever since. We took a year off in the middle there, but a few of us shared the public announcing and the playing the music upstairs. And eventually I just sort of took it over as my own a few years ago. So that's how it all happened. And always something I admired going to hockey games, be it the NHL or junior games, is the PA announcers, the Paul Morrises, the Andy Frost of the world. It's just something that always interested me.
Actually, you have a bit of a tie to our friend Tyler over there. That's your daughter's husband, I believe.
That's right.
But I want to hear the story about once a week Tyler's kids, your grandkids, visit you in that box up there.
Yeah, they have. Thanks to the father of my grandsons over there, Tyler. Yeah, so yeah, Finnegan's 5 and Charlie just turned 3, and they enjoy coming to the Spirit games, watching David and the rest of the players. I know they enjoy watching some hockey, but maybe they come for the snacks as well. We keep some popcorn and chips and pour chocolate milk for them upstairs. So introducing them to the game, Ken.
That's amazing. I actually want to go off the board here a little bit, Phil. Let's talk about the Scoville Spirit. You know more about the Scoville Spirit than the Scoville Spirit themselves right here know about the Scoville Spirit.
Yeah, so the team was a expansion franchise that came to town in '95, I think it was, and had some great playoff runs over the years. Won the Ontario Junior Hockey League Championship in 2012, and thank you. Probably finished a goal or two away from going to the National Championships that year. Had some other good runs in there, going to the finals. They lost to St. Mike's one year, semifinals a couple of times. I think the number is 8 players who have played for the Spirit are played in the NHL, which is unofficially, that's got to be one of the largest numbers for teams at this level, in this league. It's a really large number. That's full-time players. There's been some affiliates who played a handful of games as well. Tyson Forrester with Philadelphia right now. But Drake Kajula, who was on that championship team played 2 years here. He had a nice 10-year career, mostly in the NHL, a lot of games with Edmonton. But, but there's a lot of other players there's a lot of guys, this will be the highest level that they'll ever play at. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It is a high level. David, the team captain, will tell you later that, they're going 5 and 6 days a week. It's a huge commitment. But there's a lot of other kids who've gone on with NCAA scholarships, Division I, Division III, gone playing youth sports for Canadian university teams, gone to the Ontario Hockey League, the Quebec Major League, even the Western Hockey League we've had players. And we've got other players right now who are playing minor pro in the States. So there's a long legacy of players from this town, from this team who's gone on to bigger and better things. And that's the whole purpose of this level of hockey, is to move people on. We love to keep them, but the idea is to go on to the higher levels.
We only have one question for you left here, Jim. Thank you for joining us
No
here
problem,
today.
Jim. Just want to talk about your involvement with the board. How'd you get involved? How'd you get that started?
Yeah, so with the OJHL, I retired as editor of the Sun Tribune in Stouffville about 8 years ago this week, and sort of kicked around. Anyway, a year later, I accepted a job as director of communications with the OJHL. So it's a part-time job I've done for the last 7 years, and it's great. I get to do a bit of traveling to games and events, and keep on writing about hockey, focusing on players within the league who are getting scholarships, getting drafted in the NHL. What our big events. We've got a Battle of Ontario coming up next month in Cornwall, where our best players will be on an all-star team. Our best young players will be on a prospect team, and they're going to play the best players from the Central League, which is Ottawa-based. So that's the first time. It happened a few years ago, but this is a renewal of it. And there'll be NHL scouts there, no doubt, checking out the best players. So that's going to be a cool event. That's what we got on the horizon this year.
Thank you so much, Jim. And you know what? I'm going to let you stick around for one more minute and introduce our assistant coach of the Stouffville Spirit and our new team captain. Everyone, let's give a hand for
David Pally, our new captain of the Spirit, third-year player. Come on, David. Rob Ascenzi, our assistant coach for last year. Come on up, guys. They're just off the ice from practice and getting ready for tomorrow night's game here at the Stouffville Arena. So come on up, guys.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, okay, Coach. Let's talk about your new captain sitting beside you. How did that come about?
Well, it's pretty easy. We had a group in mind. The general manager, assistant general manager, ownership, the coaches. We let the players pick, and it was pretty unanimous, really, who our captains and our assistants were going to be. And I met Dave 2.5 years ago now, and he's everything you want out of a player, and he's everything you want out of a captain. And Stouffville's very lucky, the team and the community, to have Dave as a captain.
So we've had a small sample size of your season so far. Where do you want to see some improvements with the team and the direction that you guys are going?
Well, I want to keep some players. Fortunately for the players, Riley Clark and Tejon Street, they're both, one's in Sudbury, one's in Kingston. They're huge losses for our team, but I congratulate them. So we got off to a hot start, and now that they're in the OHL, we just need some guys to step up and take some more minutes, and we just got to keep working. It's the nature of the league, and unfortunately, it is what it is.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Talk behind your back there. David, let's talk about your new captaincy. How does it feel to be the captain of the Stouffville Spirit?
It's a pretty great feeling. I've been on this team for 3 years now, and the captain for my first 2 years on this team was Odero Eware, and I see him not only as a great player and a great captain, but a great friend of mine. So to be put in the same category as him, it's a pretty great feeling.
I got one more question for you, David. The rest of your season, you were talking about taking a run at Trenton. I think we have some payback from last playoffs. What do you foresee in the future for the Spirit this season?
Well, we'll see what the season has to bring to us, but going out in 4 games last year is definitely not the result we wanted. So we're hoping to come back stronger this year and hopefully win the season series and beat them in the playoffs if possible.
All right, coach and captain, we're going to get who your NHL teams are. What fan base are you guys are part of? MVP off stage.
Yeah, I'm a Leafs fan. No, it's all right. Born in the Toronto area, it's hard not to root for the Leafs.
We get a lot of hate for this.
That's okay.
I am a Habs fan.
How did that happen?
I'm sorry.
Well, I see something in the future. David Pellia, is that how I say it right?
Yeah.
David Pellia will be drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs because he's a Habs fan. What do you guys think? Thank you guys so much for coming out here tonight. It's been all our pleasure. And good luck tomorrow night. You guys got a big game tomorrow night against the Toronto Patriots. And I think you're back down to Toronto to take another run at that St. Michael's team, the Buzzers. We're going to be buzzing all over those Buzzers tomorrow. And I really appreciate your time here tonight.
Thank you, and I just want to, on behalf of the Stouffville Spirit, I just want to thank you guys for doing this. This is a really cool event, and we appreciate you guys being at our games and keeping a watch on us.
Thank you so much. Okay, Phil, guess what? I called this man about a week ago, and I said, so I'm just conflicted. What do I call you? Do I call you Brian, or do I call you Mr. McFarland? He said, Ken, just call me the King. Next up on the stage here at Ken's Corner, let's give a big warm welcome to the one and only, the legend, Brian McFarland.
All right, Mr. McFarland, can we hear a little bit about the creation of Peter Puck?
You want an update on Peter Puck?
We do. We want an update on Peter Puck, and we want that little bit of an insider on someone else you've been working on lately, Brian.
Well, Peter Puck and I go back 50 years, would you believe?
Yeah.
I can remember being in Atlanta doing an NBC game in 1974. And we introduced this little character, Peter Puck, and he was immensely popular. I garnered the Canadian rights for Peter. Now we hold the worldwide rights. We just protected him by copyright and trademark in 2 countries, the U.S. and Canada. And we've got Penny Puck on the scene. So we're thinking of all the young women that are playing hockey today, and we think Penny will be a good fit for them.
So when does Penny come on air? When can we see Penny?
Well, that's the question. Now we're looking for a spot in the hockey limelight for Peter and Penny Puck. And I've been reaching out to different people. The Women's Hockey League hasn't returned any of my calls, so I guess they're not interested. But somewhere out there will be somebody who will be interested, and maybe they'll become partners with us and we can fully introduce the group.
That's amazing. Okay, Brian, I'm going to take you on a walk through your past. Let's go back to 1967. The Toronto Maple Leafs just won the Stanley Cup. You went home to Willowdale with someone from CBC and a co-host, and you decided to crash the Stanley Cup party. Tell everyone here how that went down, please.
Well, yeah, we sat around our kitchen table thinking the Leafs had just won the cup. We should be at the party. So my wife, who's right down here at the bar, she's never at the bar, but she is tonight. And I think we're trying to become the oldest couple ever to see the Leafs win a Stanley Cup, and that goes back to '67. We crashed the party. There was nobody at Stafford Smythe's house in the doorway. So we walked right in. The Stanley Cup was there. We took a sip from it. And then we joined all the guys and the girls from the Leafs, the wives. Eddie Shack, I remember, was dancing madly away, perspiration flying, and he was more erratic on the dance floor than he was on the ice for the Leafs.
That's an amazing story. Amazing story. We're going to open it up and do something a little different here, Brian. Does anyone out there have a question for Mr. Brian McFarland? Do you? Come on up. You have another book coming out, Brian.
Actually, I do. I just finished A Hell of a Life in Hockey, which is selling well. And now, next month, we're coming out with The Maple Leaf Forever, a history of the Toronto Maple Leafs, including all those passages about Harold Ballard and those dreadful years when they couldn't seem to win anything.
That's amazing. And I know you don't watch a lot of hockey right now. You're a pretty busy guy, but I'm going to get this out of you anyway, even though Keith Acton down there might disagree with me tonight. But, yeah. What's your prediction for tonight's home opener or season opener for the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's live tonight at Boston Pizza from Montreal, right there on that TV. What's your prediction for tonight, Brian?
I hadn't even thought of predicting a win. I don't take hockey too seriously anymore. But I'm going to say 4-3 Toronto will be the final score. But don't gamble on it because it's just a guess.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brian McFarland. It was a pleasure. Your storytelling is amazing, and we want to thank you for coming in.
He's just saying that you're amazing. You're the king. Everyone, let's give a hand for Mr. Brian McFarland.
Thank you so much. Nice to be with you. In the home of Keith Acton.
Yes, in the home of Keith Acton. No, go over there and get some free food.
I got one question.
Oh, one question. Mr. Tilley.
I want one. Okay.
Joe Tilley, everyone.
Brian, yeah. Hi. So, Brian, your favorite Harold Ballard story. Your favorite Harold Ballard story.
Well, there's so many Ballard stories. I don't want to take up too much time here. The one thing he did to me, he fired me the time that Darryl Sittler didn't show up for a game because he was in a dispute with Punch Inwack, his GM. And on television in Minnesota, I said, why don't they treat Sittler like they treat Bobby Clark in Philadelphia? And that was enough for Harold to say, that's it for you. You'll never get back in my building as long as you live. So I did 4 more years in Winnipeg, then 4 wonderful years with the Montreal Canadiens, and that was my career. I bowed out, but he said I'd never get back in his building again. But when they put me in the Hockey Hall of Fame with Bill Torrey, my friend from St. Lawrence University from college days, we were asked to drop the puck at center ice, and I did get back in the Gardens one more time. Thank you, Joe, for reminding me.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
That's amazing. Wait one more second, Brian. Tell me about Keith Acton down there. Tell me any story you have about Keith Acton.
Well, I'm always glad to see Keith. We're regular customers here, you know. And Keith had a marvelous NHL career, and he's doing a marvelous job with this Boston Pizza outlet, and we enjoy coming here. And one thing about Keith always stands out in my mind. Many years ago, I used to do MC golf tournaments and do the speech making afterwards. and Keith Acton asked me to come up here and do his golf tournament. And somebody said, Keith Acton calls you, you know he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And it turned out to be true. So, thank you.
One more time, Brian McFarland, everyone.
All right, Brian.
Definitely the king. Well, isn't that amazing? Mr. Brian McFarland, one more time, everyone, please. Okay, everyone. You never guess who's next. Yeah, we might. I don't know, Keith. Would you like us to bring that chair up here for you? The Montreal chair. Everyone, give a hand for Mr. Keith Acton. Good to go? All right, everyone. I can't believe it. You know, this guy is a busy guy because I've been podcasting for, I don't know, 3 years. I probably got about 150 podcasts. But I could not get this guy to answer me because he's so darn busy. He's, well, he's a Stanley Cup champion. I think he played for 17s. Am I right? 6? All right. Should have done my homework a little bit better. Well, you know what? He was an assistant coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs to last year's Stanley Cup champion Paul Maurice, and of course Pat Quinn. Jesus. Let's go way, way, way back to your beginnings here in Stouffville and your path to the NHL.
Well, yeah, I was born and raised here in Stouffville, as many of you know, and very privileged to have grown up in this community. I always believed that Stouffville was a really good hockey town. This community back in the 60s was not unlike any other small town in Canada where the hockey arena was really the gathering place. And, you know, a lot of great teams here. Senior teams, whatever team was playing well, there was a great following, and like I said, it was a gathering place, and many a night the arena was full, and all of the town was there, and you had a window of 3 hours, you could rob any house in town and you wouldn't get caught. So, very privileged growing up here. I had some great coaches early in Pee Wee hockey. Mr. Bob Hazard was our coach, and as we all know, he was played on I think the 51 Stanley Cup team with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he was great friends with George Armstrong, and Mr. Armstrong was here in Stouffville quite a bit. And another great coach that we had here in town was Mr. Jack Watson. He played some junior hockey in Hamilton, I think, with the Red Wings. And also, I was very privileged growing up here that I had a lot of good friends and good teammates that I was able to play with, and they helped, water and fertilize some of my talents by, watching them and seeing what they were doing and competing with them. And so all in all, it was a great experience growing up here as a kid.
Thank you.
Mr. Acton, so you were drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in 1979. Can you tell us what that feeling was like being drafted?
call me Woody, not Mr. Acton.
Yeah.
Mr. Acton was my father. So, but no, it was certainly when I came out of junior hockey, I wasn't ready to play in the NHL, and I needed some time in the American League, and probably there was no better place for me to be drafted to than the Montreal Canadiens. At that time, they were producing a lot of NHL players, and minor league team was successful, and when I'll never forget my first training camp when I went to Montreal. I'm walking in the Montreal Forum, and there's Jacques Lemaire and Ken Dryden and Serge Savard and Guy Lapointe and Larry Robinson and Guy Lafleur, Steve Shutt. I can go on and on, 10, 12 Hall of Famers, and I was very privileged to have been able to witness how they approached the game. They had a certain desire and dedication and commitment that went beyond the boundaries of all their opponents, and it was so important to them that they were at their best all the time, and they played in fear each and every night, and I would was privileged to watch them and learn from them. And when I say they played in fear every night, it wasn't in fear of not getting their goal, or it wasn't in fear of getting hurt. It was 100% in fear of playing at a level below where they were supposed to be. And that's what, at the end of the day, produces championship teams.
In the early season, when you got called up to the Montreal Canadiens, you had a very productive start to your career, and you got moved up to the first line. Can you talk about playing with that first line in Montreal?
Yeah, I must say that I spent a whole year playing with Guy Lafleur and Steve Shutt, and I was their centerman, and I really liked it. I don't think they liked it too much, but I really liked it. And certainly they were great players, and they were easy to play with, and they made me look like a much better player than I really was. And I got to tell Guy Lafleur's story. One night we were playing the game, we came back to the bench, and he started to explain to me that I maybe made a mistake on what I did out there, and I should have done something different. And I said, well, fella, I said, yeah, I get your point, but I thought, and he went, no. He said, you didn't want to go to school, so don't start thinking now.
That's a great story. So you were saying, call me Woody. Where does this nickname come from?
What time's the Leaf game on? That's a long story. We don't have enough time for that one tonight.
So we're going to jump all the way to the 87-88 season. You're in the Edmonton Oilers, and you get the series clinching goal against the Detroit Red Wings. Can you take us through that goal, that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, once again, I was very privileged to have played in Edmonton with a lot of great players, not unlike Montreal. It's funny that, when I started in Montreal, I learned, so much from that organization, and, there's not only their skill set, but their approach and how they, winning was so important to them. And then when I got traded to Edmonton, it just seemed like from the minute I walked in the dressing room in Edmonton, it was a carbon copy of the Montreal Canadiens. And it's interesting to note that Glenn Saylor, who was the general manager and coach of the Edmonton Oilers, he played one season in Montreal, and I think he probably was absorbing everything of how the Canadiens ran an organization, and he took it to Edmonton, and he plagiarized it. It was a lot the same, and they had, again, very privileged to play with great players there, and their approach to the game was, they needed to win, and winning was everything to them, and you can see it now with the Oilers now with, Connor McDavid. Great player, as we know, but great leadership, and his approach to the game is anything less than winning the Stanley Cup is unacceptable. And there's no one that will be more disappointed than Connor McDavid when that doesn't happen. He's more disappointed than anyone in the organization, any of his teammates, any of the fans, and that's the approach, and that's the way it was when I went to Edmonton. And I was privileged to play there, and that your star players are going to carry you on most nights, but you're always going to need somebody else to contribute in order to take you, over the line in order to win. And I was able to, fortunately, contribute a couple of big goals in that playoff season to help the Oilers. I mean, it's funny that the Oilers, we used to always say there's the steaks and the burgers. And the steaks were the high-end players, and the burgers were guys like me. And I remember Calvin McClellan came to me one day and he said, "Keith, there's steaks and burgers on this team. You're playing on my line, and make no mistake, you're a burger." But it's funny, on a good team, on a good team, the burgers know they need the steaks, but the steaks know they need the burgers. And that was certainly the approach there in Edmonton and when I was there. And I think it's something that maybe has lacked here with the Maple Leafs in Toronto, but I think Craig Berube will get the steaks and the burgers respecting each other.
I hope so, Keith. Thanks for that. I actually keep looking over at this jersey over here. I want to know how that felt, drinking from a Stanley Cup. Give us your feelings on, if you can go back to that day, to that picture right there.
Well, I must say that particular evening right there, I don't remember it that well. But it's funny, it was a great thrill, and I think I need to take that picture down because one night Mr. George Armstrong was here, and we were sitting in the corner here and we're talking, and he looked over at the picture and he said, "You drank out of the Stanley Cup?" And I said, "Well, obviously I did." and he said, I never ever drank out of the Stanley Cup because I know what's within that cup."
So drafted by the Canadians, assistant coach for the Maple Leafs, where does the allegiance really lie?
Or is it with Edmonton?
Well, certainly, my time in Toronto as an assistant coach was when I grew up here in this community. Obviously, the Maple Leafs were my favorite team. David Keon was my favorite player, and his sweater's hanging here, and there's a few pictures of Mr. Keon in the establishment here. And so they were my team, and I always dreamed that one day I would play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but that didn't happen. But certainly very privileged to have been an assistant coach with the Maple Leafs as long as I was. Pat Quinn hired me in 2000, and those were tremendous years in the early 2000s. We had some real good teams. I found out that they always fired on a Friday and they hired on a Monday, and I didn't show up to work on Fridays.
That's amazing. Well, right now, Keith, you're, other than owning Boston Pizza right here, you're actually an elected city official. Now, what is that like compared as busy? Is it towards like being a hockey player? Like the comparisons, is there a comparison?
Well, there's great comparisons between business and sports, and then owning and running a business like this. It's like I said, a lot of parallels between this and sports, and you're trying to put a team together to accomplish a common goal. And there's in a business like this, there's a wide range of employees. Only a sprinkler are full-time people, and your youngest is maybe 15, and your oldest is 65. And so you're trying to blend them all together to you know, work together. You're trying to corner the marketplace, be the trendsetter, and be the winner. And once again, it's just like sports. Your commitment and discipline and dedication to, you know, and to have had the career that I've had. And when I came back, it seemed like there was a need, you know, and a fit, and it was an opportunity for me to give back. And so I thought I'd give this a try, and it's been really enjoyed it. It's been a great learning experience, and I must say that I don't think I read too many books growing up, but I do a lot of reading now as a counselor.
Yeah, I bet you do. We got a couple of fan questions here. First, I'm going to invite up Peter. He's got a question for you.
Hi, I had a question already, which was, what was your most memorable moment in your whole career going from here to Nova Scotia to Montreal? But then I looked up your stats and I see that you accumulated 131 penalty minutes in the 1990 and 91 for Philadelphia Flyers. Can you explain that?
I can explain that. Craig Berube was my left winger.
Ah, there we go. See, that's why I brought it up, because now we got a coach.
Yeah, I mean, my role changed a little bit as a player. I got to tell you a Craig Berube story, and it didn't end well for me. Craig was, as we know, he was a very tough player. He was a very competitive guy, and he got his foot in by being a fighter, and he was very good at that. And he was so good at it that no one wanted to fight him. And so a lot of nights he couldn't find a fight. And so I was the center iceman, and he knew that I could stir the pot a little bit. And he started screaming at me on the bench saying, Woody, I gotta be in a fight. I gotta be in a fight. Get me in a fight. I gotta be in a fight. And I said to him, okay. I said, who do you want? So we were playing Washington this particular night, and he said, I want Neil Sheehy. I want him next shift. He says, you better get it going. I said, I'll get it going, but you better get there. So how this unfolded was I got it going, and Neil Sheehy was going to be no match for Craig Berube, but I was no match for Neil Sheehy. And Chief didn't make it there. And I was so mad. I'm sitting in the penalty box, and here he is coming with my gloves and my stick, and he's laughing at me. He's got no teeth, and he's looking at me laughing, and I started screaming and yelling at him. And he said, I'm sorry, Woody, I'm sorry. He says, the linesman intercepted me. And I'll tell you how that worked out for me. It was the next morning I was having x-rays on both orbital bones, and I had to wear sunglasses for about 2 weeks. So that's how maybe I might have got 15 minutes right there about him. Yeah, but there was a lot of nights in my career, and it took me a while to learn that you should never get courage and stupidity mixed up. And that happened on occasion, but Bob Probert was a really good individual, and one of the things I'll never forget is him and Martin McSorley having a fight right in front of our bench, and I thought, holy smokes.
It didn't just come as a surprise.
No, I think we were all, that trade, I think we were all blindsided by it. I don't know if the Steaks knew anything about it, but I can tell you the Burgers didn't know anything about it. No, it was a shocking thing, and, as in life, lots of times kind of the truth comes out. And as we look back on it, it was you know, a big part of it was a business move by the owner of the Oilers, that there was a transfer of funds, and it wasn't just players, and rules got changed because of it over time, but it was a business transaction that I think probably, you know, we as teammates, you know, weren't really appreciative of it, and thought there was a, you know, a chance to keep winning more cups. They did win another one after that, but certainly Wayne was a big part of being a good team and a great team, and so I think it was disappointing on how that unfolded for some, but you know, players play, coaches coach, managers manage, and I guess owners own. No, I don't believe for a second that Wayne wanted it. I think, you know, I don't believe that for a second, looking back from when I was there, but maybe, you know, maybe he would have a different opinion of now over time how it, you know, turned out for him.
All right, one of the big questions of the night, Mr. Woody Acklin, is what's the predictions for the game tonight?
Well, it's funny, you know, I texted Craig early this morning, and I got up very early because I wanted to text him. I wanted to see what time he might be getting up. So I text Craig just to wish him good luck and all the best for tonight and for the season. And he got back to me right away, so maybe he's got a few butterflies and he's up early today, getting ready, sweaty armpits. And I'll say this is, you know, I think if you look at the Maple Leafs, you know, over the past number of years, a big problem with them has been that when it got to playoff time, they haven't been able to elevate their game. And regular season play doesn't work in the playoffs. I think, you know, probably Wayne Gretzky said it best when he said there's 4 parts to the season. There's the exhibition, there's the regular season, then there's the first 3 rounds, and then there's the Stanley Cup final. And as you exit and hopefully enter into the next stage of that, you have to be able to elevate your game. And the Leafs haven't been able to do that. And I think that if there was any question marks about the Leafs, you know, it's been, you know, say last year, it's been their defense, it's goaltending, and possibly some question marks around coaching. And, you know, I think they've attempted to make changes in those areas. I understand the goalie's hurt again and he's not playing tonight.
We got still there.
Yeah, so they've tried to, you know, stabilize or upgrade those spots, and I think that the defense on paper looks better, and, you know, I think that Craig is going to do, you know, it's unknown at this point on whether he can get them to understand, you know, the learning part of what it takes to win, and if he can get them to be able to elevate their game as you go through those different stages of the year. I think he will. I think he can. I think he's going to be well respected. He's going to be a no-nonsense guy that's going to tell him how it is and what his expectations are. And you know, you're not living up to those expectations, so he's going to tell you. So I think you know, it's everybody's optimistic at this point. Everybody's full of enthusiasm. Everybody thinks that their team is going to be great, and that's all because no one's lost a game yet.
Yeah, well, that's true. But if everything plays out the way all of us Leaf fans hope here this year, how many rounds do you see the Toronto Maple Leafs winning in the playoffs this year?
Well, hopefully it's 4. Hopefully it's 4, and you know, it's you got to play the right way, and it gets down to, again, like I've said all many times tonight, your commitment, your dedication, and you know, it's everybody wants to win, but you gotta hate to lose, and it's gotta gnaw at you, and it's gotta, you know, put in your stomach that, yeah, you know, it's gotta be that important to us, because it'll be that important to somebody else.
That sounds like the old Mike Tyson saying, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. All right, unless anyone's got anything else to ask Mr. Woody Acton up here, I think this guy just loves you. Go ahead.
What's always intrigued me is when they say the best offense is a good defense. What does that mean?
No, best defense is a good offense. Best defense.
Well, a lot of times, you know, in the NHL, a lot of your, especially the way the game's played today, coaching has tried to take all the risk out of the game. So when you watch a game, there's a lot less turnovers. Because there's sometimes when you have to give the puck up, you have to give it up. But if you have to give it up, you give it up in a safe place. And you know, a lot of, I mean, your offense comes out of your power play. It comes out of maybe a skilled player makes, you know, an incredibly skilled play to give you offense, but a lot of times your offense comes out of your defensive play. And if you're a good defensive team and you check really well, when the other team loses the puck, a lot of times they're not in a fundamentally sound position to defend, and that's how, when you counter that out of your defensive play, that's probably the number one way to generate offense. So defensive play is, it's not just about keeping the puck out of your own net, it's how you create offense.
Okay, one more. That's a north-south Crane Groovy style play that you're talking about. Am I right?
I have one question. Montreal's playing today. What is your personal take on the line injury? Patrick Laine got injured preseason. What's your personal take on that?
The parade.
Yeah, Cedric Perry.
I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't watching that game, and I still haven't seen the hit. So I can't make on it.
That's fair.
Keith Atkins, everyone.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Are you up?
Thank you very much.
So Mr. Acton just told me that he's coming on Ken's Corner podcast to do a recording.
Yeah.
So we'll hear all these answers that you've asked tonight all over again on Ken's Corner. He's got to look me up on Ken's Corner on YouTube. But next up, here is our closer for the day, Mr. Joe Tilley.
There we go. Ken's Corner podcast coming up.
You knew I was going to ask that, didn't you?
He knew I was going to ask that one. He knew it. Okay, Phil, I think you got the first question here.
I do indeed, and I'm going to go back to my childhood and watching Mr. Joe Tilley on CTV. When did you know that this was going to be your career? When did you make that decision?
Well, you know, it's a funny thing. When I was, way back when I was going to be an actor, okay? At one time I was a boxer, and I was coming to the afternoon drive shift on radio, and he was the weatherman on TV. And I did the sports on TV and the news with Ron in the afternoon. Yeah.
He definitely made his way, but we're going to go a little bit back further. And some people might know, but some people might not know. Originally, you were a boxer that almost made it to the Olympics. Let's talk about that.
Well, I had a number of amateur fights. I was the Alberta champion 3 times, and I had some good success in amateur. I actually got a chance to travel with the Alberta team. We went to Ireland, and I knocked out the Irish champ in Belfast, and Ulster Hall in 1977. His name was Johnny Thompson. Johnny Thompson. Yeah, Thompson. Yeah. I knocked him out in the second round, yeah. There we go.
Never fight a Canadian.
So what does Mr. Joe Taylor do on a daily basis now?
Well, now I spend a little time. My wife and I spend a lot of time. We golf a lot. So we live here at Mulson's Lake, and we're members over the golf course at Sleepy Hollow. And yeah, so this is home now. And we in the wintertime we go to Mexico, to a place called Nuevo Vallarta, and we live on the golf course there, and we golf there. So it's kind of a golf thing we do. One of these days I'm going to get good, but not yet.
Well, you do something else. You rival me. Well, actually, you're ahead of me, way ahead of me. This guy is owner and host of the Great Canadian Podcast, Great Canadian Show, his Joe Taylor's podcast, and this guy gets everyone. You got to check it out. Every week he's got a post coming out, probably more than I actually do.
Well, I do one a week, and we've had some good guests, and we've had our friend Brian McFarland on the show. Legendary Brian McFarland. That was a fun show. Yeah, we gotta get Keith on the show. I gotta get hold of Keith for sure. Have him on the show. Yeah, we've had Eric Lindros, we've had Wendell Clark, and Daryl Sittler, and Lennox Lewis, Donovan Bailey, Scotty Bowman. You know, lots of Yvonne Korner. Oh yeah, I saw the number 12 over here. Can I get Keith Acton 100% for sure? Yeah, of course.
Keith Acton's a little bit hard to get.
That's no Keith count for sure. But yeah, we do it once a week and have a lot of fun. We get to talk to some of my heroes from the broadcasting industry, heroes from the sports industry. And yeah, it's a great fun thing I do.
Could you center on one of your guests and give us one of your more exciting one that you went, wow, that was an amazing interview? I know there's probably tons of them, but was there one that you can tell us about here today?
Well, you know, I've had I had Russ Jackson on the show. Okay, so I was a kid growing up. I was a big football fan. I went to all the Edmonton Eskimos games, and I sat in the end zone. We belonged to something called the Not Hole game, and I went to every single Eskimos home game. And of course, when Russ Jackson came to town, he torched our home team. And a good Canadian guy, quarterback, who was one of the greatest of all time. It was a lot of fun having him on. Scotty Bowman had so many incredible stories. Brian McFarland, oh my God, Brian's got incredible stories, a million stories. To single one out, it's difficult to do, but I know when we had Lennox on the show, Lennox Lewis, and for me, that was really a great get for me because, I watched Lennox all the way through his career and was a huge fan, obviously. First Canadian to win a gold medal in a long time. Since Lefty Gwynn in 1932, when Lennox won the gold in Seoul. And so Lennox was great. I mean, he was a undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And until Tyson Fury, he was the last undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And to me, that's like, you can't get bigger than that. And well, he was talking to me from actually Jamaica at that particular time. It was in winter. Oh yeah.
You didn't, you know, as a matter of fact, when they traded Frank to Detroit, Detroit became my best team, my favorite team. When they got traded to Montreal, Montreal became my favorite team for a short period of time. Very short period of time. And then it was back to the Leafs again. When the Oilers, of course, when the Oilers joined the NHL, they became my favorite team. But when they traded Gretzky, my allegiance went back to 100% Detroit. I mean, it's hard to cover the Leafs all the time and to get to know the guys, and you know, it was hard not to want to see them do well.
That's amazing. All right, well, as you know, tonight, real soon, Toronto is going to give a beating on Montreal tonight. Let's talk about this Cedric Paré hit on Lene, and is Jack Guy, is he going to have to answer to Mr. Ryan Reeves tonight?
Well, you know, there's a reason why they are dressing Ryan Reeves, no doubt about it. Jack Guy is he's a pretty scary dude, and you know, it's a small part of the game, but it is part of the game, and toughness is important. And Keith alluded to that. You know, like they've come close, but they haven't had this kind of coach and this kind of toughness to back it up. I don't think before in the last 10 years. So I think that it's going to be a different story this time around. I think that there was something missing when it came to playoff time before. I think what that was missing before, they now have. You know, I love Chris Cannon. I thought the hit on Line was an accident, but with a more skilled player, it might have been avoided. But it was an accident. Accidents happen. It's hockey. It's played at a fast pace, and accidents happen. And certainly, there's nothing intentional about it. It's really unfortunate because Line was having a great spring. He seems to have really turned himself around, and I'd like to see him have a good season in Montreal too. So.
Yeah, definitely. Now, obviously, I'm going to add in Jack Guy. He had to do what he did. He's the tough guy on the team, so he had to stick up for his players. But do you think he's going to answer to Ryan Reeves tonight?
Well, it's going to be like this. It's going to be one team gets up by a couple of goals. Then you might see a situation where the coach, taps the player and let's make something happen on here. Send that line up. But that line's got some, that line's all right. That goal that Ryan Reeves set up by Lawrence was incredible. Right? And that's the kind of goal that happens when you dig in and play hard. And Ryan Reeves has some skill. He's played in the NHL for 15 years for a reason. He's a skillful player. He's won championships. He knows what it takes. And I really like Chris Tanev. Oh my God, what a get he was too. Lots of hockey left in that guy. You know, like our friend David here. He was a late, he came into the NHL the different route, right? And didn't play so much hockey leading up to his NHL career. And I think he's got some game left. Yeah. Lots of game.
So we're going to flip the script here a little bit. I'm going to take you back to the early 90s. We got the Maple Leafs. We got them in the playoffs. We got the Toronto Blue Jays winning back-to-back World Series. What was it like broadcasting, reporting on Toronto sports in the early 90s?
Well, it was incredible. 92, 93. Oh my God. The World Series. The first time that the Jays won the World Series, it was. We wondered if it was ever going to happen, right? Is this ever going to happen? The Jays had come close. And was it ever going to happen? And then they win in 92. Then they win again in 93. And in between 92 and 93 World Series, the Leafs make it to the semifinals, and they were so close. And we all go back to that call by Coach Terry Fraser, right? We remember that call by Terry Fraser, the missed slash, and we think about how close it was and how close it could have been. Because I believe that Leafs team would have beaten that Habs team. The Kings just ran out of gas. You know what I mean? By the time You know, they got that first win. They're up in that second game. They're 2-0 heading home. They probably win that series, except for the call on Marty McSorley for the illegal stick. And then they end up scoring, and then they win in overtime, and everything changes.
And of course, the high stick from Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
Let's
They were
go.
very close.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Woody. Season predictions for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, I do. I mean, listen. Every year, I think the Leafs had a shot, and I believe that every year they have had a shot. But this year, they're just a little bit better. They've got a couple of those little bit of those intangibles that they've lacked before. One of them is a coach who's won it all before, right? When Craig Berube took over the Blues in 2019, they were in last place. Last, not in just in their division, in the NHL, they were in last place. They won the Stanley Cup. Now, some of that had to do with their coach, okay? Absolutely. And so you've got that part of it. You've got Chris Tanev, who leads with his face when it comes to playing this game. He blocks more shots than anybody does. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they got some nice additions to that back end. I really like it. And they got some toughness. They got some skill. The skilled players have a little more experience than they had before. I don't know if you've been watching that NHL series on Netflix, but oh my God, Willie. Hey, Willie's a leader. We didn't know how much of a leader he was.
He was supposed to be the captain.
Yeah, well, he's a leader. And Austin Matthews, we'll see what he does as a leader, but why not? He's a hell of a player. I like the chances.
So my next question is going to be Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner has taken a lot of flack from the fan base, from a lot of people. Was it really all that deserved? And what's his season going to look like this year?
So, Mitch Marner is a player that any NHL team would take in a heartbeat. He's got an incredible skill. He's got vision. He's a playmaker. He can make things happen on the ice that other players just can't. He's got that innate ability to see the game, Gretzky-like ability to see the game, and he sees it the way other people don't. The problem has been his production in the postseason, right? And I mean, everybody. I mean, I'm not telling anybody a story that they don't know. But if you go back to that series against Montreal, for example, right? That was the year that they could have won it. I really believe it. They could have gone all the way. It was when John Tavares went down with that injury. All the Habs had to do was focus on the one line, the one center. Just focus completely on Matthews and shut down the Matthews and Marner line, and they did everything perfectly. And they did a good job on that. And in subsequent postseason runs, they've done a pretty good job of keeping Mitch Marner, on his butt. He's got to find a way. He's got to find a way to carry his success from the regular season into the postseason. But if you look at his numbers, except for that 1 year, both him and Austin Matthews have had very good numbers in the postseason per game. And I think that Mitch can do it. I would hate to see them give up on Mitch. I hate to see them trade Mitch because, man, you just can't replace that talent. You just can't replace that. You just got to find a way to channel that crazy positive energy into the postseason and make it work.
I want to talk about our goaltending, Joe. As you know, Joseph Woll has gone down with an injury. Are we going to be all right?
Well, Stollers is a good goalie, right? Okay, he's a good goalie, and I think he won 24 games last year against 5 losses or something with Florida. I mean, he's a good goaltender. and we'll see how good he is. You know, it's an opportunity for Hildeman. What's his name? Hildeman. It's an opportunity for him to see what he can do. It's an opportunity for Stollers to become a number one for the first time, and maybe this is a short-term thing, but you're starting to wonder at this point in his career, how many times he's been injured, and it just seemed like last year he just got injured at the very worst time possible when they're about to knock off the Bruins, and you know, and they got Matt Murray in the wings as a backup, as a third option. And again, you're talking about a guy who's won 2 Stanley Cups, so.
That's right. I believe that because Matt Murray is the consensus third goalie, that in fact, the calling up of Dennis Hildeby today is indication that Joseph Wola isn't long term, because Murray would actually have to clear waivers to go back down. So I do think he'll be back. Now, if anyone's got one question for Joe Tilley before we shut the house down here today. Anyone? Okay, we got a question for Joe Tilley.
I think Matt Murray was released yesterday, right?
He's what?
Released yesterday. Yeah, he was gone. Yeah, he's gone.
No, he's been waived.
Yeah, he's waived. He's gone. I think yesterday, I read on the news.
Yeah, I think he's waived and he's going to report to the Marlies.
Yeah, he's going to be on the Marlies.
I thought they just terminated him. No? Okay.
What they do is they waive him.
No, it wasn't waived. Anyways, my question after you is, was Stallars or Wall, when he's healthy, are they strong enough goalie tandem to make a playoff push for the Maple Leafs?
So you're saying if Wall's healthy?
If Wall's healthy and Stallars stays healthy, are they good enough for a playoff push?
I believe so, yeah. If Wall's healthy, man, he's a hell of an opener. I mean, it's been a real small sample size because of the injuries, right? But when he was on last year against the Bruins, hey, when he came in and they're down 3-1, he won game 5, right? He won game 6. And then he got injured right at the end of the game. If he stays in there, maybe they win that series. But I don't know. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of ability, but can he stay healthy? And that's the $1 million question.
And my last question for you, Mr. Tilley. Game prediction for Toronto versus Montreal.
4-1. Leafs. 4-1 Leafs.
On that note, everyone give Mr. Joe Tilley a big hand.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Joe.
Now Joe's off to Mexico next week. Yeah. Well, we'll all get there one day, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Just hang around long enough.
That's right.
Enjoy the heat.
Enjoy the heat. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's gonna get cold here.
Thank you so much, Joe. Good man. Go get some food, and we'll get you back on the podcast soon. Okay, guys. That was amazing. Lots of fun. I really appreciate everyone for coming out here today. Now, let's join together and watch this Toronto Maple Leaf team beat the Montreal Canadiens tonight. My prediction, 4-1, just like Joe Tilley. Go Leafs, go. And let's take this all the way to the end of the year. And yeah, Phil, you got any last words before we sign off here today?
Thanks for having us. Appreciate all the interaction. Thank you to our guests for showing up, taking that time out of their days, and I look forward to doing this again with you guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. I want to thank our TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook friends. I want to thank our sound guy over here, Sean Fowler. He's Mr. Everything to me. I really appreciate him. Thanks a lot, guys. We're going to shut it down. Go Leafs, go!